friend of three Chiefs fans who froze to death in his backyard claims he had no idea until the cops showed up to his door 2 days after the party. But furious family claims he is unreachable during search and now has moved out. David Harrington, Ricky Johnson, and Clayton McGinney died on January 7th. Bodies found in Jordan Willis' home in Kansas City, Missouri on January 9th. The family say, so they said the bodies were found in the home? The families say Willis' story does not add up and are demanding answers. Willis claims he went to bed, leaving the three men with one other downstairs. So there was a whole other person. There was 4 people downstairs, is what his initial story was. So if you guys do not know the initial story, here we go.
Buddies got together to watch this football game. Three buddies got together to watch this football game, a Chiefs game. Missing for 3 days. Police find bodies in the backyard. What in the world? I know family is demanding answers. Are we learning anything new at this hour about this case?
You know, Marky, this is just a really shocking case. In fact, we have reached out to police who say first and foremost that this is not a homicide case, but a death investigation. Police going on to say there have been no signs of foul play at this time. But family and friends say that these 3 men and how they died, it does not add up.
I'm furious.
It's going to be fentanyl, watch.
Everybody's furious. Nobody believes this story.
Because it sounds like bullshit.
Her 37-year-old son, David Harrington, went to a friend's house to watch the Kansas City Chiefs game on Sunday, January 7th.
It's going to be drugs.
He never came home. 2 days later, on Tuesday, there still had been no word from Harrington or his friends, 38-year-old Ricky Johnson or 36-year-old Clayton McGinney. Friends and family say they made several attempts to contact the homeowner who hosted the football gathering, but they could not get a hold of them. The fiance of one of the men then went to the home, knocked on the door to no avail, and then broke into the house.
Damn!
She reportedly found one of the bodies and called police. Then when police got to the scene on Tuesday night, they found 2 more bodies. The homeowner reportedly told police that the men then froze to death as temperatures dipped below freezing in the area. The Kansas City police say they are currently waiting for the medical examiner's cause of death for the 3 men, and Marquez says that her family will never be the same.
It's a huge loss.
This is clearly some sort of crime somewhere along the line here.
It's everything. He is a brother.
Simon.
They're missing him, and they are brokenhearted.
Well, if you remember, when the story first came out, they said 3 friends froze to death outside. That's why I didn't cover it. I was like, yeah, a bunch of fucking idiots hanging out outside. It was cold, so, you know, I didn't think nothing about it.
Devastating for that mother right there. But at this time, no arrests have been made. Again, police emphasize that there are no signs of foul play at this time. And police say that the homeowner is cooperating with law enforcement. Marky and Nick, lots of questions.
I don't know, man. We need a toxicology report, clearly.
You don't just freeze to death watching a football game at a friend's house.
All men perfectly healthy who would have gotten up and left the room. I don't understand.
Right, exactly. And they were, no, I don't understand it either. And the truth of this is, if there were bodies in the house, none of this shit makes sense at all. He claims he went to bed. Jordan Willis was the guy that was hosting the party. He claims he went to bed, leaving the 3 men downstairs to hang out with an unidentified 5th man. And knew nothing of the, and let me tell you something, this actually sounds like bullshit, and I'm gonna tell you why. You're a homeowner. Do any of you let people in your house that you don't even know? Look, whenever someone says unidentified source or unidentified, there was another dude, just an imaginary dude, and there's usually some bullshit that goes on with that. There will never be someone in my house that I don't know who they are. Cars were all outside, how they say temps were like 30s, yeah, exactly. But am I right or am I wrong? Do Do any of you guys, just tell me how stupid the audience is. Do any of you guys ever have people hanging out in your house that it's just unidentified? I know as a man that my job is to protect my home and the bitches that may live here. There's never going to be a moment where there's just people in my house that I can't identify. Who leaves people in your house when you go to bed? Exactly, Kristen. That's another thing I wouldn't do. We're grown-ass men. You ain't staying the night, motherfucker. You ain't staying the night unless it was pre-planned. Exactly, Gobbles. I don't let people I don't know in my house, nor would I go to bed with strangers in my house. Exactly. We're on the same page. And knew nothing about their plight until the fiance of one of the men broke into the home on January 9th and found him on the back porch. So 2 days went by, and you ain't walked around your house for shit. You ain't let the dog out. You ain't went outside. You ain't went down to get something to drink. You ain't did shit. Now, this is where I think drugs could come in. Actually, I don't even believe drugs are, I don't know. Maybe drugs are part of this. And that's why he slept for 2 days. This is worse than Dylan Mortensen being in frozen shock phase for 8 hours. This is worse. The police were called and soon discovered the 2 other bodies in the backyard. Willis opened the door to the cops in his underwear, holding an empty glass of wine. Oh. So, let me get this. A home slumber party, everybody's in their drawers with wine and shit, with dead bodies laying everywhere. Yeah, there's definitely something more. What kind of homo drinks wine anyway? Forget it. The police were called and soon discovered, we already said it. The medical examiner is yet to confirm how the victims died. Willis, who says he was close friends with the victims, says they froze to death. But the families of the 3 victims, I don't believe that at all. Say his story doesn't add up, they're demanding answers, of course, because his story doesn't add up. This is what gets a lot of people caught, is their stories are always some dumb shit. Their stories are always just some complete dumb shit. Timeline of events, January 7th. The 3 men go to Jordan Willis's home to watch the Kansas City game at 3:25 p.m. At some point during the night, Willis goes upstairs to sleep, leaving the 3 men and another unnamed man to hang out in his house. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. The game ended at probably 7 o'clock in the 6th. Crystal meth laced with Fenty, probably. Nancy husband friend. Exactly. Yes. Think about it though, for just a second. He says those 3 were definitely in a frozen shock phase. Think about this. You watch a game with your buddies from 3 to 6. Who the fuck goes to bed? Hey, look. Why would they still be there when you went to bed later that night? Unless you went to bed at 6 p.m. Think about it. Young dudes like this, you're not going there unless you guys were fucked up. Jordan Willis, here we go. Jordan Willis on January 8th claims he did not leave the home that day, so he didn't realize the victim cars were outside. Loved ones of the missing men start to try to contact Willis, who does not respond. January 9th, Clayton McGinney's fiance breaks into the home and screams Willis's name after 2 days of no communication with her partner. She finds one of the bodies on the back porch. At 9:51 p.m., 3 bodies are found at the property after police perform a welfare check. This is one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever seen. He had the 4th unknown male to distance himself from the crime. Exactly. That was the point I was trying to get across. Exactly, High Vibes. He's basically trying to say, hey, the real killer or the real criminal, it's somebody else. Who? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, it is about distancing themselves. 100%. 100%. Picture Kansas City Chiefs fan and HIV scientist Jordan Willis. This dude was an HIV scientist. I don't know what the fuck that means. Whose 3 friends were found dead in his backyard after he went to bed. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not buying the whole I went to bed thing right after the game or whatever. Unless they was getting fucked up. Now, that does make sense. If he was getting fucked up. If they were getting fucked up and they're like, oh, can't drive, whatever. They all gay. Good morning, Julie. Yeah, they weren't just hanging outside. I don't believe that at all. As I read, they didn't know him well. I wonder who said that, the family? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not buying majority of this.
We'll talk to Jennifer Coffin.
Jennifer Cooper Duper, goddamn. Timeline, here's the timeline.
The 3 men found dead outside of a Kansas City home following a Chiefs game. It's getting more and more attention and begging more questions about what happened.
The person who owns that house says that his buddies just froze to death.
Right.
Friends and family say the timeline is just one of the many details not adding up here. Kelsey Kernstein joins us to help break it all down. Kelsey, what's the latest today?
Adrian and Marky, good morning. So right now we are, of course, waiting for that autopsy and toxicology results. Those, of course, could take weeks. Now, the key issues that people want clarity on: why did these 3 men allegedly freeze to death? Why was the homeowner allegedly ignoring people banging on his door? And what evidence did police have to almost immediately rule out a homicide investigation? Now, here's what we know.
It's going to be
On
drugs.
Sunday, January 7th.
Just real quick. Scientist got gay and made a move on his friend. I'm going with drugs, man. And they don't want to own up to the fact that they was doing drugs. My prediction on this is going to be drugs. His bizarre science background, he's trying to say it's normal for them to park there even though they were not hanging out. Yeah, that's crazy, right, Lady Red? Crazy.
The 4 friends were at a home outside of Kansas City to watch the Chiefs game. Now, the game kicked off at 3:25 Central Time and ended almost exactly 3 hours later, according to a post on the team's social media. For the next 50 hours or so, loved ones heard nothing. A friend telling News Nation exclusively that, quote, early in the day on Tuesday, January 9th, the homeowner had seen messages from concerned relatives and was aware that at least 2 of the men had not made it home. Now, according to police, that night, one of the missing men's fiancé showed up at the house. She banged on the door, but no one answered. So she broke in through the basement and found one of the men dead on the back porch. She then called police, who found 2 other men dead in the backyard. Now, the next morning, police then issued a statement saying they found no obvious...
Here's the thing. Gobble said, my thoughts are they went outside to smoke weed or cigs and he locked them out. Yeah, but still they're grown men. And wouldn't you have been like, oh, shit? I say fentanyl, 103. You're like, think about this, right? Let's say you're outside. Let's say you do go outside to smoke. And you're out there and you're like, oh, shit, they locked us out. Okay. He said, drinking Bud Light, playing hide the wiener. Let's just say that's what happened. You mean you're going to stay there? You're not going to leave the backyard? You're not going to go try to, go out to your car and get help or call. Do you see what I'm saying? And let me also say this. What's the odds? This is going to be the mic drop, right? I'll drop a mic, but it's too expensive. Who goes and smokes? What are the odds that nobody had their phone with them? Serious question. I know when I take a shit, I have my phone. When I go outside to do anything, I have my phone. You see what I'm saying? What are the odds that no one had their phone? Then what are the odds that no one left the backyard? No one. Then what are the odds? When the other two motherfuckers died, if you're drunk up or drugged up, you're not thinking straight. Right. What if the drugs raised their body temperature and they didn't even realize they were freezing to death? But my point is, and then saw them not, like, who the fuck sees they didn't all die at the exact same time. Why do you think two were in the backyard, one was on the porch? Like, you don't think that when the first body, yeah, but what are the odds that none of the three did? You may not, Gobbles, but what are the odds that none of the three did? Not a single one. Not a single one had it in their pocket, nothing. The odds just aren't very good. But let's just say that. He may be a sicko chemist, yes. 3 of my cousin's friends dropped dead after snorting all fentanyl. Yeah, exactly. So that has to be the answer. Because the whole freezing to death outside thing, I'm like, hold on, if me, Amy, and Manda are hanging outside, I don't give a fuck if we was doing shrooms. And I see Manda die, I'm gonna pick Amy up and say, look, baby, we're going. We're out of here. We gotta figure out we're gonna die. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna stay there at all. Lone incidents have happened where drunk people freeze, but man, you know how drunk I've been in my lifetime? I've been hella drunk in my lifetime. I ain't doing it. I don't give a shit. Because the minute I pass out outside, I'm like, oh shit, my balls are shriveling. I gotta get inside. I'm not, there's drugs involved. 100%, there's gotta be drugs involved. That's my prediction, 100%. I can't buy it. I took a whiskey and fainted, but cold, I would definitely die. I don't know, man. That shit'll wake you, snap you out of it. And you gotta remember, there's 3 people there. 3 grown-ass dudes. This can't just be a simple situation where people are drunk. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. And then, because there's too many other things that doesn't make sense. They were beating on the doors, calling the dude constantly. He's not answering for 2 days straight. But yet he didn't leave the house. He didn't leave the house. That sounds like a drug-induced sleep. That'd be a hell of a party, JB, yes. I would have went to my car, started, turned heat on, and exactly.
Signs of foul play, adding that a search warrant wasn't required due to the homeowner's cooperation. Now, 3 days later, on Friday, January 12th, the victims were identified as 37-year-old David Harrington,
yeah, I'm not buying it, man.
Clayton McGinney, and 38-year-old Ricky Johnson.
He said killer party.
Harrington's mother told News Nation exclusively that, quote, nobody believes this story. Here's Mal Jackson, a reporter at News Nation's Kansas City station, on his conversations with his sources.
It is sort of interesting because a lot of the times, you know, police departments are evasive for different reasons. But in this case, in conversations with sources and, you know, on the record and off the record conversations, I think the police department is as bewildered by this case as I think America is starting to become.
Our News Nation station, WDAF, reports that neighbors even saw a U-Haul truck in the driveway of his home.
No, I understand what you're saying. I've passed out outside before. Gobbles, what I'm saying is the likelihood of 3 people at the same time doing it. Do you see what I'm saying? The likelihood of 3 people at the exact same time being just as drunk and just as, has to be drugs. Has to be. Lady Rez says nobody wears headphones for 2 days straight like a lawyer is. No, I agree. I can't. We can't use anecdotal issues like I've passed out outside before. But I've never passed outside before with 2 other motherfuckers who also passed out and froze to death at the same time. Do you see what I mean? Like the likelihood is just, it's not Is it possible? Anything's possible. What's up, Upgrade? What's up, Upgrade?
Not know why.
We're talking about the Chiefs
fans.
fans.
Has not been charged, and he is cooperating with police. Now, there is no timeline for the toxicology reports, but according to the DOJ, the average turnaround is more than 30 days.
Thank you for watching. Go to
This is some crazy shit. This entire story is bizarre. Check this shit out. 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans mysteriously found dead in HIV Science Pal's yard in freezing weather may have taken drugs, as cops say they're waiting for the toxicology report. Of course they may have taken drugs. This is the only possibility, in my opinion. If there's no foul play, it has to be the answer. HIV scientist attorney says he is grieving the loss of his childhood pals, so he definitely knew them, who were found dead in his backyard and didn't go outside for 2 days because he had no reason to. Attorney John Pacerno, who had previously spoken out in defense of the client, said Willis has nothing to do with these deaths of his 3 friends, 2 of whom he'd known since high school. He's grieving. He had to move out of his home, so he moved out of the house. He had to shut down his social media. He's taking a leave of absence from his job, so it really affected him. That makes it even crazier. That makes it even crazier to me. That motherfucker moved.
Weeks after 3 friends were found dead
Check
outside
this.
a Kansas City home following a Chiefs viewing party, an attorney involved is
Check this out. You're going to see a change in the story.
now changing his story once again. This has been a back and forth here. The tenant's lawyer saying another friend, a 5th person, is still there after his client had gone to sleep. But the other friend telling our News Nation affiliate in an exclusive interview that he wasn't the last person to see the 3 men alive. And when he left, the tenant, Jordan Willis, was still awake. Correspondent Elizabeth Prant.
And that goes back to the point that I was trying to say. What's the likelihood anybody would go to sleep with strangers in the house?
And has been following this one, all the details. Elizabeth, what are we supposed to make of all these changing stories? What's to believe?
Something's up.
Marquis, there is a lot. Like you said, our affiliate Fox 4 has been on this story. As you mentioned, it's been 2 weeks, multiple storylines, and now we're getting it from 2
Yeah, he's
attorneys.
guilty
So
of
that
something.
5th man is represented by an attorney named Andrew Talsh, and he is speaking to our affiliate, and he says his client arrived at 7 p.m. and left at midnight that
Let me tell you what I think he's guilty of and why we're seeing lies. The chemist, the scientist, is the guy that provided the drugs. Am I right? The guy, but then and I know you got to be thinking, well, why didn't he die? Maybe that's why he was in bed for 3 days, 2 days. You see what I'm saying? Here is the way I'm going to lay it out. The 5th person, the stranger, he leaves. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why he tried to blame the 5th guy. So the 5th guy, after the game, probably leaves. The chemist is like, man, now that motherfucker's gone, y'all want to try this shit? Y'all want to try this shit? And so they engage in whatever the chemist cooked up. And it lays them all out. Chemist gets sick. He's like, I got to go to sleep. I got to go to bed. But he probably did go up to bed. The other 3, do you see what I'm saying? I can almost guarantee that's exactly how it played out. When the stranger left, chemist said, now that he's gone, I got these drugs. I cooked up some good shit. And that is why he's lying, not because he intentionally killed anybody. In my opinion, he's doing it because he realizes his career as a scientist and a chemist is over. Him cooking up illegal drugs on the side and serving it to his friends, and then his friends fucking die. In my opinion, that's why he's lying. He's like, man, I'm going to lose my career as a scientist, HIV scientist, whatever the fuck. I didn't know it was an HIV. Stranger convenient story, because now you can blame him. Exactly.
Night, and that all of the men were watching Jeopardy at the time. So the three men, including Jordan Willis.
So they were all watching Jeopardy.
The three men are Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGinney, and David Harrington. So what we're also learning is that their families were...
He said they were all... I sample all the drugs before I give them to friends. Exactly. I don't even like that story. Men? What about that story? Listen. Just hear this out. I don't like this story.
Harrington. So what we're also learning is that their families were sending desperate texts
Hold
on that Monday. So what we're also...
Hold on.
So the three men, including Jordan Willis,
Listen.
who was renting the home, the three men are Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGinney, and David Harrington. So what we're also learning is that their families were that night, and that all of the men were watching Jeopardy at...
Yeah, I'll take OD for that. Yeah. None of this story sounds right. Look, man, I've watched Jeopardy in private or with a broad. I ain't never sat down with like my homies and shit and been like, hey, bro, you want to watch some Jeopardy? You see what I'm saying? Nothing about this story sounds normal at all. I ain't never sat down with I've never even heard of a group of dudes sitting down watching Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or something. It's never happened. Exactly, Brian. It's never fucking happened.
The time. So the three men...
I don't believe none of this shit.
Willis, who was renting the home. The three men are Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGinney, and David Harrington. So what we're also learning is that their families were sending desperate texts on that Monday afterwards, the days following, to both men. This, again, is inconsistent because Willis's attorney, his name is John Paserno, told us that there was only communication via Facebook. So we've gotten multiple storylines from John Paserno, including one that he gave our own Ashley Banfield, essentially telling Banfield that
Talk to
men
Bumfield.
walked out, that he saw them walk out. But he told local media this.
As people do, they get tired. They're people who are very close to you, and then you feel comfortable going to bed and allowing them to leave whenever they want to leave.
What police do tell us is that there were no signs of foul play at the scene and that Willis is cooperating with attorneys. But now, Marquis, we are just simply waiting on the toxicology and the medical examiner reports.
Yep, that's why I moved. That toxicology report is going to bust this whole thing wide open. So, Jeopardy is code for gay pile. Okay, I'm going with OD. I'm going with OD. And I think it happened just the way I said it. I'll take cock in the butt for 500. Exactly. Brokeback Mountain shit. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Because listen, the dudes in here and ladies, you guys have fucked people. You guys have had husbands. Have you ever heard your men say, honey, I'm gonna have the guys over to watch some Jeopardy? And men, have you ever been like, man, I'm gonna go hang out with my boy and watch some Jeopardy? It's never happened. Even if Jeopardy accidentally came on, y'all probably, man, there would at least be one guy that'd be like, change this shit. OD for 2,000 with a slide of anal. Yeah, nope, I don't go to sleep with friends in my house. Nah, I agree. There's no way. There's just no way. So I'm going with OD, man. I think it happened just the way I said. I think the stranger left. I think the chemist said, I got this shit right here. And I think that's the answer. And I think the toxicology report will prove that. And here's the thing. I don't think you could charge the dude with nothing. What can you charge that guy with? I don't think you can charge him with nothing. The most you can do I think in the end he could lose like his medical, whatever the fuck license he has, because if they come to the conclusion that he had something to do. What's up, Aurora? It would have been more believable if they said they were watching wrestling comedy, or yeah, exactly. Jeopardy, no way. I do Jeopardy in private. I'll play the Jeopardy game, or you know what I mean? Or maybe I'll play Jeopardy, the Jeopardy, on a video game with my chick or something. But I ain't about to sit there with no dude. It's just not happening. Especially jocks. Those are dudes in football jerseys. I could see if it was like 4 brainiacs. Those are the type of people I could see maybe watching Jeopardy. But 4 sports dudes? Nah, I ain't doing it. Guess I'm done with that one. If he supplied the drugs that kill someone, it could be a charge. Yeah, that would be hard to prove unless they can prove it came from his lab or something. He would be a damn fool to admit that. But however, if this is a concoction of drugs that is maybe something that comes directly from his lab, that may be it. That could be it. In my opinion. I think that could be the yeah.